Ahmes is the daughter of Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun, obviously of Egyptian descent, and the reluctant guardian of the realms. It is her duty to see that every mythological realm in existence is safe from attacks and other harm. Ahmes was appointed these duties at birth with no choice, and being that she's an impulsive person who prefers to spend her days partying with her friends and sleeping around beautiful women, she is not keen to complete her duties in a timely fashion, leaving the realms open for attacks.
Ahmes believed for a long time that the realms were safe since she had heard no distress calls, but in reality, Spectre, the destroyer of the realms, had been slowly but surely infiltrating each realm and attempting to overthrow and kill their high kings, so he could more easily eradicate the realms once they had descended into chaos over the loss of their leaders. Ahmes is strongly adverse to the idea of settling down or taking life too seriously, but she is also an incredibly loyal and loving friend who would rather die than see them in pain.
She would never shy away from a fight, and once she is forced to take her job more seriously, she does not ignore the pleas of those she is responsible for. Being that her father is a high king of deities, Ahmes has almost unlimited power, but she prefers to utilize lightning in battle.
Now that everyone has heard a little bit more about everyone's favorite Egyptian god and favorite guardian of the realms, we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Kara, the creator of the character of Ahmes, so she can tell you a little bit more about the inspiration. So why don't you let everybody know what inspired her, because from what I've been told as the colorist and someone who helps with this story, she was not an original character back when you first created the story.
When I first came up with the character Gabrielle in middle school, she was a pretty well-developed character. She had split personalities, that kind of thing, but there's also something missing from the story, because I had, like, Rue, Anair, Kyoji, everybody was kind of thought up, but I was missing an important part of the story, and I wanted somebody that was pretty powerful.
So physically and mentally strong women to the rescue.
Yes. So I wanted to make a character basically like who I would like to be. So something that someone would like to look up to, that kind of thing.
So the main reason you created this character is not just to progress the story of Fire Sphere, but more to give the female readers someone to aspire to.
Mm-hmm. And someone that Gabrielle could look up to, because when she is thrust into these realms, she first meets Ahmes, and she's terrified. And she needs to have somebody that has her back the whole time, and then ultimately they have feelings for each other. So it's just a really important character that I wanted to give Gabrielle. Another thing about her is that I really like Egyptian mythology, so I just wanted to create a character based upon that.
Yeah, she's the only one out of your Egyptian deities in the whole of Fire Sphere that is not a real deity, at least in terms of, like real life and stuff. It's one that you had to completely create. Was there any difficulty in coming up with that, or did you just kind of pick and choose different elements from existing Egyptian mythology and roll with that?
I kind of picked and choose, because her father is Ra, and her siblings are Bastet, Sekhmet, that kind of, those kind of deities and stuff. So she's the baby of the group, and we'll eventually have her own kind of like prequel comics to Fire Sphere, and you'll get to see her as a 10-year-old. And how she became an important role to be known as the guardian of the realms. Like, why is it that her father entrusted that with her? Like, how was she picked and some other deity wasn't?
Yeah.
Not for Egyptian, but like for everything. Her story is really neat, because how is it that she, out of all the different gods, like, how is she that important?
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of readers are going to be interested in that, because from everything that I've gathered, a lot of people really like the character of Ahmes. They like her personality. They like the fact that she's powerful, but she isn't too powerful. She isn't powerful to the point where, like, it's unlimited and she can't be stopped or anything. Because I think people get a little tired of these characters that it's like, oh, no matter what you throw at them, they just magically can just buffer it away and stuff. Like, she definitely has her vices in even just the story of Fire Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go over any of those kind of negative traits? Because negative traits don't make a bad character. They make a character that's a little bit more well-rounded and human that people can relate to.
So, as we mentioned in her intro, she does have some negative aspects about her. She doesn't complete a lot of her missions in a timely fashion because she neglects some of her duties. It's not to say that she'll never do them. She will get them done fast enough. And this will also be covered in the prequels as well, or in the actual like main Fire Sphere story as to why she is like that. Like, why is that happening? And so you get to see her character develop with that later on. And she's also very, let's say, she likes to party. And she also likes to sleep around. And
well, that's not exactly a...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's not negative, but it's like...
It gets in the way of her duties because she ignores a distress call for a booty call.
That's what I mean. That goes around with the neglecting part.
Yeah. And I guess another question that I have, and I'm sure a lot of readers are going to have, this is kind of backtracking a little bit to something you said earlier. You mentioned the fact that she is not only a character you aspire to be like, but that you hope the readers will aspire to be like. Does that mean that even though things have progressed in a positive direction, you still think there's a long way to go in media, in comic books, in novels, in TV shows and movies, as far as strong female characters?
I wanted to have an important female character that has flaws and isn't just like
punchy killing machine?
Yes. So she has a lot of development throughout the story. And people will actually, hopefully, relate to her a lot. Because every character in the story, people find relatable to them. And that's not any different with her. And just because she's a deity, doesn't mean that she has her own... Like, she's kind of, like, selfish. And that kind of thing. Because she's...
Yeah.
We wanted to have characters throughout the story that is very
human,
right?
Without being human.
Yes. So it's not just I'm a god and you do this for me kind of thing. Is very grounded.
So, sticking kind of with this topic right now, if you consider comic books, TV shows, movies that have what at least that media believes to be a strong female character, what is it about those characters that you think needs to be improved that you would put into Ahmes? What do you think the strong female character of today is still lacking?
I think there's not a lot of backstory. Or there's very little. And it's just seems like it's the same kind of flat storyline. Like, it seems.
So you think they're all kind of just clones, copy and paste the same strong female character. She can punch, she can fight, but that's about it. I'm kind of the same way, where I actually end up finding it very refreshing when a strong female presence in a movie or a comic book is more intelligent than other people in the room. She doesn't necessarily have to go and throw a punch at someone. She can basically create and finish off a battle of wits. Because you need intelligence. You can't just punch your way through everything in life.
Right.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell everybody about the character of Ahmes?
Yeah, so another important thing about her is that while she is very powerful in all the elements, she just prefers to use lightning. And you'll see her do that a lot. And another thing that does happen with her, she has a very important battle in the series, and she loses an eye. And what happens with her is that Dr. Hyde gave her this ability where it's kind of like not a robotic eye, it's just like she still has an eye, but it also shows that she's harnessing power and stuff. It turns black and silver looking, and then she has like cracks where it's just all messed up from like her accident that she had. And every time she is that angry, it shows up. So it's more like a buildup of anger that makes that happen, and that rarely happens for her. A lot of times, a lot of her battles are kind of like fun for her. She's just like, oh, this is gonna be that. But if there's really an important battle where somebody is so in such danger that she has to harness that, and she also is like all gods. A lot of people think that they're immortal. Gods can die too. And she has been around for centuries and centuries, but she's still the baby of the group. And she does have her limits. And I still think that is very important to have for a character.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching this video. We had a lot of fun recording it. We hope you have just as much fun listening to it or watching it. Keep an eye on our social media pages, because next week we're going to be having you meet yet another character from the Fire Sphere series, and you're not going to want to miss that. So goodbye for now.